just like that, they buy it. They eat it up. You pander to them, you thank them. I mean, really, people, I thought you were a little bit smarter than that. I mean, it's just so easy to say the name of the city. You cheer.
Hey, Stephanie,
you cheer. I mean, just come on.
Welcome to the A Show.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the A Show with the Kings of Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am Justin, here with Meelz. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? I'm, just very, I don't know. What a weird week.
Yeah, it's been a tough week, and I think that the toughness of this week is going to resonate throughout all RNC shows this week.
Yeah.
We've already had a beautiful episode of RSBN that you and I were both on. I hopped on for a couple of minutes yesterday before dinner.
Yeah.
You said some wonderful things that I listened to today. We, of course, I think I mentioned on that episode, which you should listen to on RSBN. This week's RSBN is a must listen. We have a late fees episode that was literally recorded moments after myself and Pat found out. It's going to resonate, and I think it's going to take a while, but I think we're going to get through it.
I think so too. One of the bright spots of this weekend, and it's unfortunate that it kind of happened in the same day. It happened within hours of each other. I mean, it was kind of great if you're at least a wrestling fan, if you're a music fan, having to watch the Grammys after that entire experience. It's got to be just one sad moment after another. Yeah. But if you're a wrestling fan, man, you really kind of got a break from, not like a break, but you got a kind of like a reprieve. You're able to kind of enjoy the entertainment for at least 4 or 5 hours. How long is these Royal Rumble events go anymore?
I thought it was Rumble, and I thought it was Raw. Really did help me this week. Honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, just honestly, and I'm just glad it wasn't SmackDown. But I think just generally, just these shows, they've just been fantastic, and kind of within the context of kind of the day. Like we said, wrestling fans who have listened to this and who are, fans of this, clearly you got a reprieve, and you kind of got the feel kind of like something. You gotta kind of feel something real, and I think that's kind of what wrestling kind of really does, is that it manages to give you a break, especially when it's good. I mean, when professional wrestling is good, it's the best. It's the best television. It appeases to kind of all senses visually. You just hearing wise, you can see the passion, you can feel the passion, you can taste it, you can all this other things like that.
I don't want to taste the passion.
Good, well, it's you can feel a lot of different things, and I think that's what Sunday and Monday show, as we said, is kind of done. I mean, both shows are great. We don't have to talk about SmackDown. I feel like it should be a general thing. If we're talking about a post pay-per-view, chances are we will not cover SmackDown unless something significant happens. And
I don't think anyone would blame us if we didn't cover SmackDown at all. But for sure, if this is a go home show,
especially when a lot of things were just resolved, at the Royal Rumble. I mean, SmackDown had quite a showing at the Royal Rumble, but you know what? We're bearing the lead again. Which is something that I hate doing, but we have to give props. I mean, we had our Royal Rumble pool, annual Royal Rumble pool. We've done this for many years now. We got to give a shout out to, first of all, to X, who
we really got to not let RNC people do it now. I think X has got to be the last guy. That's like that's like Amp winning.
Yeah, but you know what? It's fine. I feel like you know what? Here's the thing, though. It's not like I feel like everyone's got an opportunity, but still, and also I don't think X has really ever been on the show like solo, kind of flying alone, kind of us kind of getting to hear all of his thoughts. So I still do feel like it's kind of like a guest, and I know he's a fan of the show itself. So he didn't mean any harm by entering, and I didn't tell him that he couldn't enter. But we got to give a shout out to X for entering and winning. I think he was the women's Royal Rumble winner, which ended up being Charlotte. Surprise, surprise, to absolutely no one. And then we got to give a shout out to, hold on, I'm trying to get his name. First of all,
shout out to everyone who entered. How about that?
Yeah, shout out to everyone who entered. I'm trying to find the name right here. Okay, maybe it just skips over it. Boom, boom, boom. Wow, come on, man. Don't do this to me.
This is terrible. We're so sorry.
Yeah, I know. Twitter, listen, our Twitter is so popping. That's why. It's just because there's so much stuff to go through. There's all this content. There's all this other stuff, but I can't find it for now. But I definitely did check. You know what? I know how I can find it because I'm a genius. I'm going to go to media because...
All real time, by the way.
Okay, so congratulations to the Royal Rumble pool. Also, it says Ramon on his Twitter, but it's A_Sadler3, who apparently hosts his own podcast and has Words in Revolt, The Source, all these other things. Came from Cornell. Shout out to him. He won the men's Royal Rumble thanks to Drew McIntyre. So we'll be having him on the show in the future as well. I'll say it's very, very interesting. I at first couldn't find him. At some point, between him entering the Royal Rumble pool and me sending out things, he must have changed his @name because I couldn't find him for the first time.
I remembered it when you said it, and I was like, he's got a really cool animated Abby, and I was like, I couldn't remember the actual name.
Yeah, so he changed his name, which is just threw me off. But luckily, I did my due diligence to find it. If you didn't get a number, chances are you didn't follow the account, which is like clearly in the rules. Like obviously, people don't read the rules. You had to follow the RNC Radio Live account to enter this entire thing, and then you also, had to tweet the hashtag. And so, shout out to everyone who entered. Please keep entering. I feel like we should do another one this year. Maybe the GIF isn't to be on the show, but we should do something so people continue to feel things. Because I I think we in light of this news,
we should give him a little like the Russell buddies, the pillow buddies thingies.
I mean, that would be great for your own comfort. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can watch your Royal Rumble in your own comfort. Of your home next year or something along those lines. But yeah, we should definitely do that. But shout out to those. Shout out to X. Shout out to it says Ramon. Shout out to Ramon. We will be having you guys.
Don't kill us, Ramon.
Yeah. No, don't worry about it. But we'll see you guys on the show shortly.
Before we start, who do you think is like the Kobe Bryant of wrestling?
Who? Okay.
Right? I've been thinking about this.
It would have to be. All right. So clearly, how can I say this? Someone who's transcendent, yet at the same time,
polarizing.
Polarizing, yet at the same time, incredibly skilled at what they do. I kind of think part of me is saying, God, no, I don't want to say The Rock.
No, he was beloved.
Yes. Part of me is saying Triple H.
And
I say that
the second phase of his career.
Yes. Well, no, even the first phase, I think Triple H was polarizing it at the beginning. And I think it was polarizing for a standpoint of a lot of people didn't feel like he belonged where he did. And he continuously had to prove it. And, he continuously won championships and had to kind of but he still wasn't given the proper due respect. And I think at times Kobe was there was still doubt with Kobe sometimes where he won those 2 championships. And, even in early Triple H's career, he won the championships, but they were like, oh, backstage powers. He's only doing that because he's with Stephanie McMahon and all this other stuff. But he had to kind of shake that sort of, just shake that off and kind of reestablish himself on his own. And I think Triple H did that towards, the latter part of the 2000s and things like that, kind of like Kobe. Kobe kind of had to shake off the fact of like, you can't win without Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal is the only reason why you guys have won a championship. So he had to, at the same time, earn that as well. And then when you're talking about, 100% the post-career in terms of Kobe helping develop stars, taking a strong interest in women, taking a strong interest in young players and cultivating that and also going out and developing the system. Like Kobe won an Oscar. That's crazy. Yeah. And at the same time, you can equate that to Triple H is, I don't think he's solely responsible, but he's a big part of the WWE Performance Center, which is, groundbreaking in its own. Yeah. So I might say Triple H, to be honest with you.
I mean, you took you literally, I was expecting to have a long back and forth, but as you kept saying it, I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think, there's so many things. I think there's so many, I tried to really find another person and I couldn't really find it. That's someone who's affected their genre specifically as much as those two have.
Yeah, when I think about it, I was like, maybe HBK, but I was like, he retired and he was gone for a while and he came back, and I was like, Kobe.
That's totally MJ.
Yeah, total, MJ-esque career. Can't really say that. Like Kobe did the full 20, never stopped until he had to, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, and I think you just look at it in the second phase of a career. That's the key part as to this comparison, because I think that even in his passing, he was becoming even possibly more famous and more popular in his second phase of his career than he was when he was a player, right? Like,
yeah, I feel like, it's I think being able to maintain that popularity, and I think just maintain the name, right? Like you talk about a lot of NBA players and they don't have the same kind of luster as when they were playing. You don't really talk about a couple, I don't want to say any names per se, but I don't think you talk about the same NBA players post-career with the same luster that you do as they were in their, their actual playing career. But with Kobe, it's kind of like one word, and it was just like Kobe from there on out. And he won Oscars. He was there, advocating for the WNBA. He was creating content. He was doing all these other things. He was kind of like building up his own kind of empire.
And lifting up his own. Like, you think about all the people that, I mean, a lot of people think it's silly for Triple H to be beside like a Kenta or a Kevin Owens or a Balor and taking them under their wing and stuff like that. But it was like, he empowered a lot of these guys and he got these guys bags, he got them money to change their lives. And
right.
I think that you really hit the nail on the head. Like, if there is someone who, and we're just talking pure second phase of the career, he's the guy that I would think of as the Kobe, as far as polarizing, as far as just how he elevated the game, no pun intended, all of that. You're right. You're really right. Like, it is actually, Meelz, you're a genius.
Yeah. I kind of I was very reluctant on it, but then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in all for it, because I do think that there's in terms of just the conversation on Triple H and how his legacy will go down. It's interesting to say, because there's 100%. I mean, when he was wrestling, I'd say in the beginning of the 2000s, like he got so much shit because he married himself into the business. And if his career had ended there would have been an asterisk next to whether he deserved all the things that he got or not. But when you think of what he's earned towards the latter part of his career and the things that he's done post, actually being in the ring full time, that's kind of the stuff that makes his career, that kind of, at this point now, he's undeniable, because you see it from a different perspective and you're able to appreciate it from a new perspective. So listen, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant, to Gigi Bryant. I mean, we're going to continue saying this throughout the entire week on all the shows, like you said, but it's just, it was an unfortunate tragedy that kind of shocked the world. It kind of wrecked the world. And once again, if you want to hear our thoughts about it, there's a full RSPN discussion of everyone kind of just pouring out their moments and their heart towards it. And, it's pinned on the Twitter page, and it's probably going to stay pinned for quite some time because it's just so important to hear us and to hear just our thoughts and kind of how we're dealing with different generations. Like me and you have different, remembrance of Kobe. Well, I wouldn't say remembrance, but we experience things differently than like a Cam or Jamal, who is like a number of years younger than us.
Right.
And you just kind of get the whole full spectrum of it. And, I'm very, very proud of it. So make sure you listen to RSPN this week.
More than anything, it's Black men sharing their stories and being vulnerable, and that's okay. I saw a tweet this week saying, people talking about, I cried over Kobe. Of course I cried over Kobe. He was our superhero. It's okay to cry over Kobe. And I said, you know what? It's okay to cry over him or anything else you want to cry about. I agree. It's okay to feel. And I think that's what that was. And Meelz, you told me that, so.
Yeah, I think it's important that we talk about it and we share it and we kind of, normalize it. And I don't mean normalize that we should be crying over everything, but normalize it for the fact that you shouldn't feel like you shouldn't feel like it's, not man enough to show emotions. Like everyone should. We learn all these sort of conventions of society and it doesn't really apply much anymore, in my opinion. And I think it's, just, feel how you want to feel. That's kind of how I've been living my life for quite some time.
Right. Let's get into No Holds Barred. Also, shout out to Black Announce Table for being on the show last week. Thank you so much. Once again, hate to bury that lead as well, but you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
We can't wait to do it again.
Shout out to you guys. Yeah, 100%. Very, I think we did that from the aspect in terms of like we knew people would be excited for it, and then also like we wanted to join forces with other Black wrestling podcasts and their premiere, and they're entertaining and funny as stuff. You even listen to the episode, and I think it was received very, very well. So I'm very happy everyone kind of enjoyed the meeting of the minds and the quiz that Justin obviously dominated. And
you feel me?
We try to make sure that doesn't happen again.
I drew Mac that. You feel me? First up, Brock Lesnar had some words for Matt Riddle over the weekend. Did you see the story?
Yes, I did see the story. It was very interesting. Of all these people who are now, it's kind of like Matt Riddle with the Twitter fingers and now having to face all these people who don't know how to use Twitter but know how to use hands.
And the Goldberg one was funny. Okay, let's just provide context. So Brock and Matt, of course, with Matt being in the Rumble on Sunday, they weren't in the ring at the same time though, which is interesting. But Matt and Brock they crossed each other, and Brock wanted to see what was up. He pulled up he basically essentially said, according to Alex from I'm trying to find the article right now. We're so bad at sourcing sometimes. I'm so sorry. We'll be better. He essentially said that he heard a report, and it was pretty much corroborated by a bunch of people that were very trustworthy in that sense. That Brock basically said, "Listen, I don't know why you got your name in my mouth because I will never, ever, ever work with you again, or ever work with you. Period."
Yeah, we're never going to work together. So you can stop the things that you're doing. It's interesting.
And mind you, on Saturday, Matt posted on his Instagram a post with him and Brock as toys and Paul as a toy, and the quote, "Only one person can retire Brock Lesnar. Only one person can end his career, and that person is going to be me." Wildin', okay? Wildin'.
I don't think Brock respects the whole the trying to thing up social media beef. Not like people are trying to deal with CM Punk to see if they can get something, but he doesn't he doesn't fall for that. And also he knows Riddle has been going at him for quite some time. Yeah,
and it's from TalkSport. Sorry about that. They reported it. basically Lesnar had grabbed him by the shoulder and said, "Kid, you might as well stop saying my name and tagging me and shit because you and I will never work together ever."
And I feel like everyone else laughed, and Matt Riddle nervously laughed, kind of the way he did when Goldberg was there.
Yeah, the Goldberg thing was cute. This isn't, right? Because I'm
not really taking it seriously.
I'm just gonna say it's. I would say this isn't cute because I think Matt has only gotten more pretentious since that incident because he feels untouchable, right? I'm not to one to say that. I feel like the Goldberg one was a worked shoot because they recorded it. Obviously, I don't think that this one's recorded. I think that it is essentially Brock. Brock is on a higher stature than Goldberg is, right? Like he's clearly still active regularly. Like he's on a higher stature. Like he can say who he wants to work with or not. And I'm not saying they're never going to work together, but this is Brock basically putting his line in the sand, saying, "Listen, I see what you're doing. Cut it out." So this is, of course, caused people on the internet to say, of course, WWE doesn't understand. They don't understand Matt and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't think it's an issue of them not understanding Matt. I think that his booking, I think it all makes sense to me, right? Like it's all put in perspective what's going on with him right now, right? Like he keeps doing this Twitter stuff the same way that Velveteen Dream was doing it. Remember when he was losing a lot because he was doing a lot of the Twitter stuff like with NXT? And you can't be in NXT making programs for yourself on a show you're not on, I think, right?
You know, I don't even know if it's, I mean, I guess it could be going into business for himself. In my opinion, think that Matt Riddle 100% wants to face, Brock. I don't think this is just trolling from an aspect because he's not kind of really doing it to anyone else. Like he's just strictly doing it to like the Goldbergs and Brock Lesnar's of the world, those who are kind of like pseudo mixed martial arts type of deal.
But if your job right now, right, Meelz, is to get Drew McIntyre over or get Finn Balor over or get whoever over at the time, but there's someone else who works in your company right now saying, "Man, I'm gonna retire this guy." No one's looking at you right now. That's a little frustrating, I would admit.
I think it's frustrating, but also from a standpoint, I personally don't think Triple H cares, but I could see how people of different stature, like a Vince McMahon who is looking out for that particular show, could care, or, could see that could be an issue. But I don't think it's really been, I don't know if it's been that much. I can't like correlate like the way he's been booked versus the things that he said.
Just to be clear, I would correlate what I believe to be an attitude problem across the board with how he's booked in NXT, because the Ciampa tweet from last year did kind of correlate with a lot of things for Matt going downhill at that point, right? He started to take a lot more losses there. And I think that I don't think Ciampa's tweet was not indicative of how people really felt about Riddle at the time, with him being a locker room leader, right? So I think that Riddle, in a lot of ways, if you're that good, and by God, Riddle is good. He possesses an it factor that not many people have, with only having 3 or 4 years. I think he's like 4 years in of wrestling experience, but he's still new, right? So he still has to get that time on the roster to kind of refine himself. And I completely get where Brock comes from. I think, if Brock is trying to get his programs over and make the guys that he works with look good, there aren't many people that he likes to work with, So if he's saying, "I don't want to work with Riddle," it's probably the same energy he had to Dean Ambrose for whatever reason, because Dean Ambrose was saying he was lazy and all of that stuff. Remember, I do think that there is something there, but this altercation was a little bit more like, all right, Matt, you got to chill out. You should really just chill out now.
I think so. With that said, he's got a big opportunity tomorrow or tonight rather on NXT, and we'll kind of see how that goes.
You think he's gonna win?
Yeah, probably. It's too much. It's a better match than I agree. We had this discussion earlier in the day, and it's like they seemed like they really want to put over NXT UK.
Yeah. They really want to put GYB over, though.
You're probably right. You know what? They'll probably win.
I just think that. I think the big thing here is to have a hook for NXT to be on the show in Tampa, right? So then,
but they've got a T-shirt. I don't know.
2020 to me is the year, and sorry to MJ and Cyrus, we're kind of encroaching upon your territory here. 2020 is the year where they gotta have people watch this show. It's been about 3 years since NXT UK started. They got to start getting people to watch this show. I think the move they made with Jordan Devlin was definitely a move to get people to watch UK.
I didn't even watch 205 Live, so I don't know how this is going to make me watch NXT UK.
Well, because he's going to be able to defend it with a lot of the guys on that roster are under 205, so he'll be defending it probably a lot more. I
could honestly care less. In my opinion, I'm just being completely honest with you. Unless the NXT Cruiserweight Championship is defended on NXT, I'm probably not going out my way multiple times. Unless it's like a big feud that's built up. And it's no shot to sort of Jordan Devlin or anything like that or previous NXT champions. It's just I don't watch 205 Live, nor do I watch NXT UK. And this move, I could see why they would want it to do that. But honestly, I'm probably not going to watch it. I think they need to add a couple more major talents to the NXT UK show if they really want people to watch it.
Right. Andrade.
Suspendiso. Oh my God. How did that happen?
Suspended for
He's
violation.
Still the champion.
Yeah, the timeline on this is really weird. We're gonna
Humberto.
We're gonna skip ahead to Raw really quick to talk about this. Just get it out the way. The timing on this really, really interesting. Of course, as Meelz said, Andrade is suspended for violating the wellness policy. We don't know what the substance is. I don't want to speculate on the show. I think it's pretty shitty to do that.
I mean, unless you're Messy
Meelz.
Unless you're Robert Roode or something.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if Andrade comes back with an 8-pack and he looks like a blimp, then
you don't need. I mean, he's pretty big. I mean, you know what? I'm not speculating that. I'm not going to call him the Juventud or anything.
Okay,
but. Like we'll see what happens. I like Andrade, whereas Robert Roode I don't really care for, which is why I have completely different attitudes about that. I'll be completely transparent.
We are biased here on the A show. So the timeline here is Andrade on the Royal Rumble beats Humberto. I would believe that they wouldn't have known about the suspension at that point. So Monday morning they for sure know, because Sunday night Pro Wrestling Sheet reported that he was going to get suspended in a couple of hours. So he was suspended on Monday morning, essentially, or Monday morning.
Imagine coming back from the Royal Rumble and they're like, "All right, pee in this cup now."
Well, I think it had to have come up. They had to have gotten tested a couple of days before. I don't think it's instant, right? Like those types of tests.
No, it was probably before the Royal Rumble. As a point where you get all the superstars in one building, to be able to do this, it had to be before the Royal Rumble and or Royal Rumble weekend. Like, it probably was like, all right, make sure when you're free. Nah, I would say before that. I would say after that. It was probably on Sunday. I would say it's probably on Sunday. Right. Because it's like, that's how I feel like you get all the talent in one building and being able to do this entire thing. And,
so they know he's suspended at this point, and they said, all right, we're just going to have Humberto, or we're going to write you off for a month.
With the belt.
With the belt. You're gonna lose by DQ, but that's okay, because you're just gonna get written off. And you're going to be back in a month, and we're going to go ahead with this as if nothing happened. I will say the most inspired write-off. I think Bobby Roode's was way worse than this one. It was just they put a table on him and he disappeared. This one was at least it showed Humberto with a little bit more fire, because I was saying before, like, he just didn't do it for me, and he doesn't do it for me. But I thought they had a really cool match on Sunday. I thought they had a really cool match on Monday. Andrade, I think it's pretty clear they might have plans for him if they didn't take the belt off him and they didn't want to just do a title match and get it back on him again.
They should have taken the belt off him, to be honest with you. I feel like it's kind of like a bad look, just just company wise, to suspend someone, but then not take the belt off them, because it's kind of like, yeah, you don't really have to defend the belt, but also it's kind of like a bad look. Like, it's kind of saying like, here's some substances we found in your system. You're not supposed to be doing all of this. We got to suspend you. I remember when it was, you look back in the day, you talk about Jeff Hardy. I remember he was Intercontinental Champion. He got suspended. Suddenly William Regal was Intercontinental Champion. I remember, I think it was
the ECW championship with Punk.
Yeah, I remember once it was. I'm trying to remember if Kennedy got injured or suspended.
Suspended. It was suspended.
So he lost his Money in the Bank briefcase to Edge. Mm-hmm. And
so random.
Yeah, it was just because Edge is the GOAT. Like, remember, we're going to talk about that soon.
They even spoiled it. They even spoiled it on the website at that time that it happened.
Yeah. So it's like there's so many other different things. Like, you kind of set a precedent in a state in a sense, and then you kind of like, but we really like him, so we're gonna keep the title on him. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just, it was weird. I think it was Kennedy was injured. So they took the thing off him. Okay, that's fair.
I think that it was.
But I think Kennedy did have a violation at some point, because
he did. One of those times he did.
If you saw him when he first started, I mean,
was he injured? Oh, he was injured during the Vince McMahon limo blow up thing, right?
No, I think that might have been.
He got popped.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying. But I think this also, Paul Heyman's mind. His mind. He clearly has something going for this guy if he didn't take it off of him.
I mean, maybe they were just like, I think people are, jokingly citing Charlotte. I feel like
nah.
But I also feel like if they took the belt off him, I feel like Charlotte would have understood. It's not like Charlotte's going to hold up the company and be like, well, you said, I mean. Like, she's not going to do that. Like, that's generally how I feel. I feel like it's a situation. It's kind of, unfortunate, but you kind of set this precedent that, like, okay, you're going to, you have Humberto right there. You have Humberto right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have him lose. Yeah, but so give it to someone else. Don't do the same match 2 nights in a row. Like, give it to someone else.
But Meelz, the precedent isn't you got to drop the belt. That's not in the rules. It's the rules isn't okay when you get suspended you got to drop the belt. Like, that's never been a rule. To be fair, it isn't.
I mean, but it's happened legitimately I feel like with every champion that's got popped. It's just like, okay, we're dropping the belt. I mean, I get what you're saying. But I feel like, to me, it's like you're going to be gone 30 days. I mean, there's no major pay-per-view. I mean, unless he can return at the Crown Jewel or whatever the hell it is, Saudi Arabia show. He'll be right back then. That would be when the 30 days are legitimately up.
Doubt it. But what if you had Zelina with the belt? Like
yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Yes, Zelina's going to continue this entire thing. I'm sure, because she got to go to work. She wasn't popped.
I see.
Like, get your ass to work.
I would say wait and see. I do think there's some cool angles that come with it, with her probably like holding the belt up and not saying like I'm not gonna give the belt up until Andrade gets back or until the higher ups at WWE they fix this, and there's some way they can do this. I will probably wait and see what it is. But like I said, there is no precedent saying they gotta drop the title unless it's like a situation where they're the world champion. Like, this is just a U.S. title.
I feel bad for Humberto. I mean, not really, but like,
for what? His cousin is so much better. His cousin is so much better.
I mean, it is what it is. To have so much spunk, yet so little soul, and
so little swag too. That cape is not it.
I feel like he's super young, right? He's got to be.
remember when you were little and used to put the blanket over your shoulder, act like you were Batman?
Super young. He's 24. He's 24 years old. He was literally born in 1995. I feel like when he grows up, give him a couple years for him to become like, I don't know, a man or something. All right, we can move on. Whatever.
Royal Rumble. Like we said earlier, I thought it was great. It was a great show.
I thought the big matches delivered, and the matches I didn't care about, I really didn't care about. So it kind of like lined up with.
So the big matches you didn't care about, i.e., Bayley, Lacey Evans.
Yeah, Bayley and Lacey Evans. I could care about. I thought Roman Reigns and King Corbin went super long for no reason.
It was fun.
No reason. That went long as hell. It was fun, but then it's also like kind of fun when if it like stops eventually. They went long. It was a great visual.
Shout out to Reigns for doing double duty and getting his win back.
Yeah, I thought it was a great visual. Kind of the whole thing, but yeah, that went super long. I also didn't care about the Bayley versus Lacey Evans thing.
It was weaker than their SmackDown match, and I don't know how they gave you that match on free TV and this one here. It was just odd.
So the context of the match kind of changes how you kind of feel about it, because when you have it on TV, you're able to kind of like do a little more, but when you have it on a pay-per-view, it's like there's so many different things that go on.
They got time though. They got a lot of time.
No, they got 10 minutes on the pay-per-view compared to Roman Reigns versus Corbin got twice the amount of time. Fiend versus Daniel Bryan got,
deservedly.
Well.
Deservedly.
Yeah. But this got way less time. But also it's like, honestly, I don't really care because I don't really like Lacey Evans.
Yeah. Charlotte wins the women's rumble, which I thought this was the best women's rumble of the three so far. The black excellence on display alone makes this the best one of the three. You had that first one. That first one was shaky with the legends sometimes, and they're just standing around.
I think the nostalgia thing popped the first one. The second one, I don't really remember.
The second one's bad.
The second one was legitimately only memorable for
the last half.
Becky. Yeah. Not even the last half, like the last like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But like the whole Becky thing and like coming and like owning her moment, which was the kind of story of that. This one kind of had I think the thing with these two rumbles is they definitely had a story to tell, and they decided that we're going to showcase a lot of talent while doing so. Bianca Belair entering number 2, eliminating 8 other women is thus far a women's Royal Rumble record. I think it's tied with Shayna Baszler, which sucks ass, but whatever. NXT eliminated more than half the Rumble.
Well, it continues the dedication.
Like, let her have something. Damn, she had the record for like 15 minutes.
She does have something. Like, all right, you're trying to make it more than what it is.
No, I'm not making it what it is. I'm not saying racist Royal Rumble. I'm not
racist
doing
angle. Hashtag racist angle.
Racist Royal Rumble.
How do you feel about that? Because I know you saw it yesterday, and I know you were like probably rolling your eyes like I did.
I'm wondering if it's just racist behind a paywall, or is it actually like a racist name? Like,
he shot you the link to the article.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, wait, why is it racist? And he was like, you can read about it on the PW Torch, thing sheets. I was like, is it racist or not? Like, are you trying to sell this as sort of a thing to sort of drag on? Because I'm like, yeah, Brock Lesnar is the huge, large white man, and there's a lot of stars eliminated, but it was the story of the thing. It didn't even cross my mind that racism could even be factored into this.
I think that if you were a white dude and a lot of black people are looking at you like, what are you talking about? You should probably stop talking about our experience.
Yeah.
You should just not. You should not talk about our experience at all, but you should talk about our experience when it comes up and we're actually offended by it. I don't think anyone was offended by either of these rumbles. I think that he was making a lot out of it. But continuing on, to my original point about the Women's Rumble, they're continuing to want NXT to look strong, right? So they have NXT coming in, eliminating a lot of main roster people because they want to set up, I would imagine, a big rematch in Survivor Series where every brand wants to get NXT back for what they did last year. But I thought Bianca was working her ass off that whole match.
Let me tell you about Bianca. Bianca eliminated 7 out of the 8 SmackDown women.
Yeah.
It was insane. Like, she really came through.
Continuing the smoke that she laid on them that one SmackDown that they visited, and she was beating the absolute hell out of Dana Brooke and tossed Carmella into the unknown. She continued that there. Alexa Bliss was also a standout in the match as well. I want to see a Bliss Belair match. They have really great chemistry.
They look really, really well together. I mean, we've been saying it's time to call Belair up to the main roster, but it is. And then someone who also looked dominant, I mean, Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler came in. She was only in the match 4 minutes and had 8 eliminations. Mm-hmm. Like, she came in and she kind of just housed everyone. She housed NXT. Like, you look at the bottom half, if you look on Wikipedia, from like, she eliminated Naomi, Beth Phoenix, Toni Storm, Zia Lee, Zelina Vega, Shotzi Blackheart, Carmella, Tegan Knox. Like, I think also, who else did she eliminate? She eliminated someone else as well. But she kind of came through and she kind of delivered, and I think it was telling the story, and they become a lot more self-aware because they know that we've also been thinking, like, could Shayna Baszler win it? Like,
I love that it was those two at the end.
Yeah, so I think they did a great job, and I also think Beth Phoenix, albeit very dangerous to have her shut the back of her head open and was bleeding for more than half the match. Also a standout performance in this thing. She went 23 minutes for someone who doesn't wrestle. So for someone who talked all week, she went 23 minutes and was a very pivotal part of this entire thing. So I'll say that as well. Naomi, incredible. The spot with Mandy Rose and Otis, genius.
He had the save of the night.
Save of the night. I'll say this. I'll ask you this. How did you feel about Santina Marella?
I think I said it that night. It's stupid, but it's not anything that we should be talking about that deeply. I think it was just for a moment. All Rumbles have this. It was to essentially pop the crowd. I think it pretty much set up. I think that happened to set up the second half of the Rumble. Honestly, of that Rumble. I mean, there was no one else out there. I think
it was for comedic relief, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was. There was none. It was literally Belair.
Things were getting really serious.
Yeah, it was just her squashing people, and I was just like, we gotta kind of lighten the mood. I could see if this was every year. It wasn't. It was not every year. You had the legends, you had the new people, you had the established stars, and you had a comedy angle. And they're trying something new every single year with these. And I think that of all of the Rumbles that they've had for the women, this worked for me because not only of just the Belair and Shayna and even Shotzi Blackheart parts of it, but it was that as well. I saw people saying when Santina came out that we can't have Sasha there too. I was just like, well, is she active?
Sasha's
and then it came
hurt,
out.
Yeah,
it came out she was hurt. So
yeah, man, that Dana Brooke, man,
snake bit, man.
I blame Dana Brooke. I'll just say that we haven't seen her since Dana Brooke fell on her and crushed whatever was in her. But yeah.
So Charlotte won, didn't really give any inkling as to who she wanted to face because, of course, on Raw, she was interrupted by Asuka. They proceeded to have a banger of a match, which went to DQ. I'm glad they didn't give that away on TV again. Where is she going here? I'm very interested in the Bayley, Becky, Charlotte mix, Shayna, whatever. I don't know where they're going with this stuff right now.
I don't know where they're going either. I still want the Fatal 4-Way. It's looking reportedly that Fatal 4-Way is not happening. And it has been reported of Becky's opponent, and it will not be Charlotte, which is fair. I mean, we kind of did that all of 2019 and 2018.
Okay, spoilers. 1 minute. If you don't want to hear the spoiler, go for it.
I'm not going to say the spoiler. That's what I'm saying. Oh, no, I guess.
Let's talk about it. So if you don't want to hear the spoilers, skip ahead a minute. So,
Okay. You put the timer on because I didn't.
well, don't skip ahead now. Skip
right, hold
ahead. Skip ahead now. Charlotte's supposed to be on NXT tonight.
Huh.
So supposedly it's supposed to be Rhea Ripley.
What?
Exactly. But just in the interest of time, if your goal is to make Charlotte a Grand Slam champion on all brands, why? But if your goal is to make her lose at Mania to Rhea Ripley, why? And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm very confused on why she would choose that.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Spoiler over. Spoiler is over. We will see if that pans out. But Charlotte, there aren't many options. There are not many people that are ready. I mean, clearly there are only 2 champions that could be ready. I don't think she's going to face Lacey Evans. I don't think she's going to pick Bayley. I mean, from what you said, Meelz, and what I've heard, it's not going to be Becky either. We don't want to see that again. Who could it be? Yeah. I don't know who it could be. So let's get to the men's rumble.
Yeah, because unlike that, we know who the hell this is going to be. The men's rumble was, I think it was an incredible story. An incredible, non-racist.
Someone said, I love this match, but I hate this match. And I completely understand how someone could feel that way about this match.
It was you know what? I give it a 10 out of 10 for originality. Because you have never seen any, like, realistically, like, if you set Brock Lesnar at number 1, this is how it should go, right? Mm-hmm. Like, imagine Brock Lesnar's in there and then like 6 other guys, and then Brock Lesnar's just in a corner, just like using his foot to try to get someone over the top rope. It's like, then it kind of ruins the mystique of Brock Lesnar. Mm-hmm. We've also seen Brock Lesnar enter later in the Royal Rumble and then kind of get, eliminated by, precarious situations and stuff like that. He enters number 1. Honestly, this is how it should go. Mm-hmm. The man was, he was launching people. Elias, gone. Eric Rowan, gone.
What he did to John Morrison, I would have wanted to see him after that. But John Morrison came in and he kicked him for real. You saw that, right? He was trying to like kind of bust on Brock a little bit. I was like, what's going on here?
Listen, John Morrison works stiff apparently, but Brock Lesnar works stiffer. So how about that?
He flipped him. He flipped him over that ring. He did like 2 front flips, and then Booker T was like, "Was that parkour?" Started laughing. Oh man! Oh,
first of all, Tom Phillips back. Welcome back, Tom Phillips. Sorry, Vic Joseph. I didn't really like you that much, but. I thought it was a great tale of kind of like you have this first half of the Royal Rumble with Brock Lesnar kind of dominating, and it really became like a gauntlet of like who could really stand against Brock. And you had this moment of Kofi Kingston, Rey Mysterio, and Big E trying their hand, and you got a little pop from there. You had, a surprise Montel Vontavious Porter come in. He got eliminated quickly, and then you saw Keith Lee, and I think this was a match that you look at it. Just visually, and you're just like, whoa, okay, could this be a future matchup? And then Braun Strowman comes in, it's a battle of the monsters and things like that. But Brock Lesnar disposes of them, but then Drew McIntyre shows up. And this is the guy who, over the last number of weeks, it just felt like he was going to win this match. I feel like just the energy that they had for him, the wins that they had for him, the things that they were kind of trying out with him, they really wanted him to sort of begin to set in these seeds that he's going to win this match, and he comes in and absolutely kicks the shit out of Brock Lesnar.
Loved it. I loved it. And Brock was like, whoa, who is that, bro?
First of all, the selling. Brock Lesnar is such a goat for the selling. He was on the ground for 2 minutes.
Be clear. Brock was a goat for this match because I didn't know how this was going to work. I'm shocked that he worked this long. This is the longest match he's been in like years.
26 minutes he was in the Royal Rumble. It's 26 minutes. That's way more than we've seen him in any other match, quite honestly. But he came in, and there are times he sold his ass off. I think, you know what? I'll give Ricochet for the assist, even though Ricochet got disposed of pretty quickly after. But Ricochet came in with the assist, the kind of the receipt for getting kicked in the balls.
That storytelling.
Yeah, he returned the favor, and Drew McIntyre legitimately kicked the shit out of Brock Lesnar and sent him over the top rope. And I'll give it, Brock Lesnar looked just disoriented from the way he was on the ground and just sucking wind to the way he getting to the back and looking kind of disappointed in himself because he thought he was 100% going to win, and Paul Heyman thought he was going to win, and he's kind of standing in the face of like the new guy that's kind of dominating it all. And then the second half, I think, was kind of was interweaving the various stories on different brands.
Yep.
I mean, to me, one of the most genius parts was the Seth Rollins enter and just him bringing his squad. And he's just like, I'm not coming alone. Are you fucking insane? Like,
I really like that because, again, he played spoiler in a way that people look at Roman in that spot. And I thought that the way they set that up for Drew was just spectacular. Like, it didn't take long. Because, I mean, we were literally just asking 2 weeks ago, like, is Drew getting over? And, like, we were literally like, I kind of liked him a couple weeks ago. And, you know, here was when it kind of really came together. And by the end, I was like, you know what? Like, I really was rooting for him in the same way that they built up Seth last year. I thought the way they built up Seth was you know, this was better than what they did for him last year. And that was a huge moment. The pop for that was crazy. But I think that, you know, interweaving all those stories, including the Seth story, including the Aleister Black theme, because he threw out Aleister, which led to something else later on Raw with Aleister, I guess, kind of putting it out there.
He's coming for people. He's done with people trying to come to him. He's like, I am going to wreak havoc at this point, which I loved.
Yeah. I think that, everything about this Rumble was from start to finish. It was, and I mean, I really love the 2018 Rumble. You know, that was one of my favorite ones. I think these past couple Rumbles we got with the men have been really, really fire, I gotta say.
No, I think they've been doing a great job of just telling stories, and I think that's kind of we kind of forget about as fans watching this Rumble. We kind of like try to figure out, like, we're trying to kind of posture of like, okay, where are they going? What is it? Instead of us actually absorbing that this could be an entertaining kind of deal with the people that are involved, we're kind of angling of like, okay, who's the future? Who's next? Who's coming out of this the winner? Who's that? And then they actually delivered an entertaining Rumble. I think Brock Lesnar is every bit of the attraction and every bit worth the money that he is given every time he's there. And I think the Drew McIntyre winning this entire thing, it's something that people want because I generally feel like it's a fresh contender at a big event. And we rarely have those over the last decade. I mean, it's really been Cena, then it's been Roman, but you know, this is the first time that I don't think either of them will be, you know, other than the ladies last year, but I don't think either of them will be sniffing the main event this year.
Nakamura broke that streak, I thought, to me, in the decade. Nakamura broke that streak.
Oh, you're right. Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Nakamura broke that.
But I think, you know, Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar, I think where we're at with Drew McIntyre is good. But I think they're also realizing that they have 2 more months to kind of take it over the top.
And they can get there for sure.
Yeah,
but the biggest part of this Rumble, and we're bearing the lead again, the return of Edge. Have you heard a pop that big?
No.
Ever.
No.
You know, on a day where everything seemed bleak and we were already trying to escape, you know, I think seeing Edge return was kind of like the giveth and the taketh away, you know.
Seeing Edge's face as he walked through the smoke, and he just kind of looked like he was kind of still he looked like he was going back through time, like he looked like, and he was generally, I think, overtaken by the moment. And how could you not be as a human, right? Like, how could you not be for the appreciation of thousands of people in an audience just kind of willing you into that sort of moment? This is someone who, you know, I can tell you this, I mean, because our podcast didn't exist. I remember the 2011 and the day he was retired, it was announced on WWE.com. He was like, Edge has a big announcement on the show. I was like, oh, fuck. Because the only time Edge had big announcements was like, I'm injured, which has been a recurring
every single
thing.
time. Yeah.
It had been a recurring thing for like the past like 7 years up to that point. It's like his body over the years, I think out of anyone from that TLC era of the Dudleys and Jeff Hardys and Edge and Christian, his body took the brunt of everything. Mm-hmm. His body is just you look at it, it's just a canvas of injuries, from rotator cuffs to, neck injuries to head injuries to orbital bones to shoulders to fingers to all these other things.
What was it in his knee one time? Wasn't his knee or ACL one time?
I don't think so, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was like a nagging thing that he did.
The 2008 return, I think it was because he came back real big for that one when he came back from Survivor Series.
Yeah. At this point, because he's injured, you're injured so much you can't even work out properly.
Right.
Like, so at this point, you kind of give up working out. It's why Kane looks like the way he does now. But you kind of give it up. And 2011, I remember that moment, and he says, I can't wrestle anymore. Like the doctors just saying, he caught the stinger. He caught the stinger bad, similar to the way that Paige did, except this part was, I think it was, what's his name? Titus. I don't remember. The Funkasaurus, whatever.
Titus.
He got hit. Yeah.
It's Tyrus, right? Yeah, it's Tyrus.
It's Tyrus. He got hit by a chair with him and just couldn't feel his arms. And then it's just like, listen, maybe it's time to go check it out. And they said, like, hey, you can't wrestle anymore. And you looked at the tears in his, the emotion of him, because it was kind of taken away from him. And even to me, I kind of like want him to go back into Hall of Fame. Because, like, here's the thing. He was prematurely put into Hall of Fame to kind of like pop a WrestleMania thing. Because to be his age and inducted into the Hall of Fame, I feel like that was more of a pity. Like, we know you can't wrestle, so we want to celebrate your career this way. And I always felt like it was too soon. I always felt like we didn't even get the chance to kind of like breathe and like kind of let his career kind of soak in our minds and kind of like this. It was all kind of within a whirlwind moment. And I'm sure it's probably a blur at this point.
Yeah.
But for
the 2008 one was a pec muscle. The 2008 one was a pec muscle.
Yeah.
Pectoral.
For 9 years, he kind of lived, well, maybe it was 8 years, but he kind of like was settled with the fact that he did acting and, podcasting and the show on the network and all these other things. He kind of lived with the fact that it's like, okay, I'm not wrestling anymore. So I just be a normal person. And even over the last year, like his mom passed away and all this other stuff that kind of happened. And, I think it's
just good to see him win. It's good to see him win.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think just having that moment to kind of share with your kids and kind of show them why you were the shit. And then also just the win itself, for being able to come over insurmountable odds. Doctors told him, you can't wrestle anymore. And he was like, if you wrestle anymore, you will be paralyzed. And to see him kind of come out and see the kind of emotion, the human aspect, and kind of like realizing all this other stuff, like it was a very emotional moment. Like I legitimately was like, man, wrestling is fucking awesome.
and then they shut all that down the next night on Raw. He comes out, has a tearful, and Edge is so good at just the small stuff. Where he
is why he's my favorite of all time.
He can mix the emotion with he knew what was gonna happen, but he made it look so real. The twitching of the finger. Well, Randy Orton, of course, comes out and he gives him an RKO. Randy was great here as well. I have to say, this doesn't work. This works a lot because of Edge, but this doesn't fully work for you unless you see Randy Orton and the way he contemplated the amount of violence he wanted to do. I didn't have the luxury of knowing what he did. I knew what happened, but I didn't know what he did before I saw it. I thought he was going to punt him. Then I thought he was going to actually jump off the chair. And then I saw, okay, the concerto. But the timing of it all, the way he he kind of had us on a string while Edge was on the ground, was just so spectacular. And it's why I like Randy Orton as a heel. But it's also why I think Randy Orton is one of the most underappreciated guys out right now, because he can still everything he does is so calculated that you're like, man, why can no one else think about that type of aspect to it? I think he's very, very good at being like the silent killer type, right?
Yeah,
and
you're
so
right.
they do the big stretcher angle with Edge. I don't know if you saw the after the show stuff where
didn't. I have to go see it. I legitimately have to watch it. Don't tell me. I kind of get I got the gist of it.
It's
all
great.
the people. Yeah,
it's really good. Edge is, again, the small stuff. When you see it, you'll be like, okay,
I heard
he's
he
real
was
good.
like, "Where's Natty?" So
Yes.
Natty can call Beth, and it's just like, oh my god, I love this guy.
Absolutely, he's good, and you know what? People are somehow complaining about this, but I think there are very few people that I think can pull this off right and protect him the right way. And Randy Orton is 100% one of those guys. Daniel Bryan could be too, but he's not on the same brand, right? So it's either Randy or AJ, in my opinion, and you go with Randy there, and that match should be spectacular. I say keep him off TV until March, right?
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. Like, if I wanted to ask you this question, so how often would you have this guy wrestle?
He's got a 3-year deal. Starting now, 3-year deal. Yep. He's 46, right? And he's 49. I do think he gets one more run with the title. I'm just going to put that out there. I think he's going to get another run with the title, if only for a short while, just so that he can go back into the Hall of Fame, right? And I think that you have win at Mania. You do one more in May. You have him go away till Survivor Series. And then you have him come back at the next Mania. I think he plays the Triple H role. He comes back at two of the big four every year, and you have it be that.
Yeah, I don't think we see him.
What I am scared about is that I think he might do one match where he wilds out.
No, I don't think they want him to do that.
Bro,
I mean, he probably will.
I think he gonna do it. I think he's gonna. That boy gonna do it. He gonna do it. He gonna do a plunder, man. He gonna do like a Foley Extreme Rules. I got a feeling he's gonna do it. If there ain't nothing we know him for, it's those types of matches, and he's gonna do one of them.
You might be right.
Whether it be Seth or somebody else, because he's coming for Seth.
I agree. You know what? I love it. I love this match. I love that.
I think him and Randy are going to tear the house down. And just think of all the pyro in Tampa when Edge comes out. It's going to be so great.
I think, he's going to have a fully formed career again and finally a good last run. One
more thing before we end everything off today. Daniel Bryan lost to The Fiend. He pulled an angle where he couldn't get up, and he was kind of selling the effects of the match, which I thought was the best. Again, Daniel Bryan has done it again with Bray Wyatt. He gave him another one of his best matches he's ever had.
Yeah, 100%.
Where's Bryan going after this? I am with SmackDown. I just don't know. You notice that we talked about a bunch of Raw. The Royal Rumble was pretty much Royal Rumble was Raw's show. I gotta say, Royal Rumble was all Raw. The whole show was really all Raw, to be honest with you. Daniel Bryan's the most interesting thread that I can think of for SmackDown's Royal Rumble plans. I don't know where he goes from here. What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like there's so much
exactly
Intercontinental title. I don't know. That's what people have been saying.
That's the boring choice to me. I think they got to give him a part-timer. I don't think Bryan don't need no more championships. He's done it all. He's gotten all of them. Give him a part-timer. I don't know who it is. I don't know who it could be, but make something happen. Make something work for this guy. Like, SmackDown is so dry. If they can't
SmackDown's very whack, yes.
If they can't give Daniel Bryan, bring someone from NXT or something. Like, give him a freaking match, bro. Like, I don't care who it is at this point. I don't want it to be anybody on that roster. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It can't be anyone on that roster.
I respect it.
I know people say Roman Reigns. It's just not going to work with Roman. We know where he's going.
No, it's just not.
We know where Roman's going.
Give him Taker.
Thank you. That's the match that people. I think people don't know that they want that match with Taker.
No. I think Daniel Bryan is going to be one of the only ones who like, I got you, Taker. Don't worry about this.
Thank you.
And it could be true.
Thank you, bro.
Fire.
I think Daniel Bryan Taker is the direction. It should be the direction, and let Bryan take some time off afterwards, and then come back when the roster is better.
I agree.
Roster is doo doo. That roster is garbage, bro.
SmackDown is bad.
Like, where's Kofi going? This guy was in a title match last year.
He's a champion.
Is he? Oh yeah, he's a tag team champion. You're right.
He's a tag team champion. He's a champion.
Whatever.
I want to say one more thing. Just one more thing. Becky versus Asuka too. Great match.
Real good. I like the first one better, but this was real good.
Yeah, I thought they did really, really well in this one. It kind of ended up being an afterthought to the entire thing, but I thought it was a really good match. I hope they do it again soon. But Asuka does have a tag team championship that she should probably defend. But I hope they do it again soon. But I also I'm selfishly want Asuka just continuing to orbit the title scene like a shark or something. What
if Asuka beats Becky? Well, no, she's not going to beat Becky for the title. Becky's not losing that strap anytime soon. No, what if they did it again at Mania? What if they did it again at Mania?
That would be fire, but I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they see that as a money match at all. I think they go in big money, and with who they got, I mean, I don't know if it's big money, but it's at least very intriguing. That's all I can say about that. Other than that, stuff happened on Raw. It was great. Some of it was great. Some of it was bad. Shout out to Liv Morgan. She got a win. That
MVP Rey Mysterio match was
kind of old.
Straight. I don't know who was older in that match, but he somehow made Rey look old. He made Rey look old. Why did MVP run away from the?
I think I hit in the back and was like,
Why did he run away? Why did he run away from the 619?
You got hit in the back, and I was like, I'm glad you sold it because you legitimately got up and was just like, nah, we're not doing this today.
Boy, he was dressed like T'Challa with cholesterol issues on Sunday.
Oh my God. How dare you?
Hey man. Hey, it is what it is.
Finn Balor jumps Trent Severin in the parking lot. I'm just seeing this uploaded to YouTube.
I gotta watch that.
Wow. Interesting.
So that is the week in pro wrestling. Very, very quick week in pro wrestling, but very, very deserving. I got to get up and go watch Backstage right now.
I've got Backstage on my phone right now.
So we're gonna hop and go watch that. As always, follow us at RNC Radio Live, at OG Johnny 5, and at Meelz. Let us know who you think the Kobe of pro wrestling is in our comments, and we'll talk about some of that next week. Next week we're on the road to WrestleMania. We should be having more match setups, and I'm guessing more Saudi Arabia setups because that was announced as well. So we will be talking about all the latest and greatest on SmackDown, Raw, and anything else that pops up. So until next week, thank you guys. Thank you, Meelz. And rest in peace, Kobe Bryant and Gigi.
Mamba mentality. That's how I'm ending.
All right. Peace.